Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the live stream of consciousness. I'm Evan Baumgartner. I'm a board certified hypnotist with Elliott Bay Hypnosis in Seattle, Washington. And today, I want to talk a bit about personas. Now, the idea of a persona is essentially a mask that we wear, that we show the world, right? And we have a lot of different personas. Right now, my persona is that of a hypnotist who is talking to you and explaining all of this, right? And I'm in that sort of expert role. Is that all that I am? No, no, there's a lot more to me than just this. But this is what I'm showing the world because that's what this is essentially for, is to educate, entertain, and hopefully give you some benefits from it. But the way I interact talking to you on these live streams and in these videos is different than how I'm going to act with my friends I've known for 20 years or more, right? It's different than how I'm going to interact with my daughter. Now, does that make it any less real? Absolutely not. It's just a different hat, a different ego state, really, that is in the executive that's controlling everything. And this can happen without us even being consciously aware of it. When we're in any given situation, things can change. So as that persona, that ego state that we need at that moment kind of boom takes over. And you may have been in a situation, just a example will be if you're driving and there's a car accident. Maybe there's a persona that's like a race car driver that snaps in, has super good reflexes, and you turn, you get out of the way of danger real quick, and then once that's passed, boom, gone, back to normal Sunday driver persona or whatever's in the car, that ego state. But that's an example. When you're in a situation like that, you may notice like your posture changes, your voice changes, your breathing changes as we are experiencing what it is to embody the role of that persona, right? Like right now, my voice is different as I'm speaking to you on this video than it would be if I was just, having a casual conversation with my friends. Um, Tone is different. Now, but again, we think of that and it gets used a lot as something being fake, but it isn't. It's us, but we are very complex creatures. There's more to us than what anybody ever gets to see on the surface. There's more to us than what we even see in the mirror at any given time. Yeah, that like the scale of what makes us us, the entirety of that is huge, that we can't really comprehend it all at once. All of our strengths, all of our weaknesses, we can't even list them all out if we were asked at any given moment in time. We, depending on like where we're at, we might get like a handful, and then we might come back later and get another one. But it would take time to list everything out. And these personas essentially are, it's a story, right? Everything that we do is essentially a story that we tell ourselves. And I do believe that we are, as individuals, we are the sum of the stories we tell ourselves. And how does that affect us in life, in our everyday life? Maybe if we're telling ourselves a story like, oh, I'm getting too old for this shit, or oh, I can't do it, or with dealing with anxiety, there's that, I can't do this, I'm gonna have a panic attack, and then I'm gonna do X, Y, and Z. That's a story that we tell ourselves. But the great thing is we get to be the writer of our stories. We can change it, especially since those stories weren't always there. They came from somewhere. They were invented at some point, you know? And with anxiety, yeah, no, we're always going to experience anxiety. We're hardwired to feel that. And that's okay. But somewhere along the line, we experienced so much of it that the story became, this thing that's meant to actually keep us safe in an evolutionary sense is now harmful to us. That's one story. But when we experience the detrimental effects that can have on our life, of experience too much of it and at inappropriate times, that safety mechanism, that survival mechanism, can actually cause us harm. So whether this thing that you think is keeping you safe is actually doing you harm, that's a completely different story. So that story just changed. Just in that, from experiencing it, where it's like, oh, I think back to when I had Bell's palsy and my anxiety went off the charts, and I became agoraphobic. I'm like, I'm not going outside. That's it. I'm better off in here. And that was the story I told myself. If I go out in the world, I'm going to have a panic attack. It's not going to feel good. I don't need to deal with that. That wasn't who I was, though. That's not who I am. And when I saw the effects, the destructive effects that was having on my life, on me, I'm like, oh, this thing that I thought was, I was doing to help me feel better is actually making me feel worse. That's a massive change in the story. So then how do I change that story more? If that story can change, because it always can, how do I bring about that change? How do I rewrite the story I tell myself? And that's where hypnosis comes in. That's what makes it so powerful, so effective, because we're getting our subconscious mind on board. That's where the stories are. That's where they're stored. We're running a program that says X, Y, and Z. But if we go in, we look at the script and we go, okay, I see what you're doing here. You know what? We can tighten this up and make it a lot better and give it a real positive kind of character arc, of redemption, instead of just this, kind of self-hating bullshit. Nobody wants to see that. Nobody's going to enjoy that. So we flip the script on it. And the subconscious mind goes, oh, yeah, there's a lot more benefits to viewing things this way, to doing this. This actually serves the purpose that I'm trying to accomplish better than the old pattern. And when that happens, then those changes come fast and they come easy, and we feel better. And the better we feel about those things in our body, the more we reinforce the new story that we're telling ourselves. And then change just happens, and we just keep growing. And it doesn't mean that it's not uncomfortable. That's one of the issues of growth. It's uncomfortable, but that's good, because we need the tension in order to grow. that comes from that comes from pushing ourselves, that comes from challenging ourselves, not taking on too much, but enough that we can start building those muscles and getting used to things. So for me, having been a writer as self-employed, I was used to isolating myself. And because of that, when the anxiety started, it was just keep doing that because this is better. And I lost that kind of ability to go out in the world. So I had to rebuild that. I had to start as I learned the tools and started shifting my mindset, changing that script, changing the story I told myself. Because like I said, I'm like, all right, what's happening now is way out of character for who I know I am. But in order for that to take hold, I had to actually put it into practice. I wasn't going to change just sitting at home, because that was that was the story that got me into it in the first place, right? So I had to go out and then go, oh yeah, you know what? I remember this. I can handle this. This isn't an issue anymore, and I have the tools that when it does come up, they're like, okay, maybe I'm taking a little too much pressure. I can ground it out. I can lean into it a little more, and I know where I'm at, but it's not an issue for me. And now, when I think back to that, it's such an alien concept to me that I ever even had a panic attack. Yeah, that doesn't mean I'm going to be comfortable in any given situation, right? So sometimes situations are just uncomfortable. Sometimes you just don't want to do things. Sometimes you just don't have the energy for it. That's okay. But what I'm talking about is the too much kind of feeling where the fight, flight, freeze response fires off. That doesn't happen. And the idea that would, in the most basic of situations, such as just going to the grocery store, is a completely foreign concept to me now. And at the end of the day, that's why I do this job. That's what led me to becoming a hypnotist, because I have the ability to help people never have to experience what I experienced. I can help somebody stop going through what I went through. It was a miserable fucking time, and get their lives back. So I can feel good about myself for that. It meant something, using talents, the skills that I already possessed, and bringing that, using it to kind of provide benefits to people who haven't figured that out yet. That's why I love this job. That's why this is the best job in the world, because there's nothing better than seeing that shift in somebody who takes their life back. That is like, wow, you know what? I can change that story I tell myself. This natural thing, anxiety that we all experience, it doesn't have to control me, and more importantly, it doesn't have to define me. And then everything just changes, and you see a person come to life. There's this massive shift that happens, especially when I'm doing an emotional detox session with clients, that you see it happen. in their faces as a hypnotist, as all of that shit, all of that weight, all of that burden, all of that pressure that people have been carrying around just leaves. And it's incredible because it's like I'll be sitting there, I'm like, wow, I just saw this person, now they look like 10 years younger every single time. And it's wild. And then, like, when it's over, there's like a definite shift as a new persona, a more true to the core persona comes in and takes over that executive position, the one that isn't burdened by the anxiety, by the fear, by the pain, the one that can embrace the tension and go out and live the life that they want. And that's the best feeling in the world to me. And I absolutely love seeing that happen for people and helping them get there. So, but remember, what we are, we're the sum of the stories we tell ourselves. So what's the story that you are telling yourself about who you are? Are you telling yourself a story, I can't change this? There's no point. Why bother? Why go out? I'm just going to have to go home again. You know, that sort of thing. Are you telling yourself that? And is that the story that you really want to be telling yourself? Or do you want to change it to be a story where, no, I am capable of this. I know I've got this. I can handle whatever comes my way. Why? Because I'm alive. And I'm going to embrace that. Yeah. And the other important thing to remember is there's no such thing as problems. There are only situations. Yeah. And when we start looking at things that way, not viewing things as problems, but as a situation, then that's something that we can really use, because situations always change. That's the great thing about it. So we get the choice of what to make the next situation that comes after be like. We can make it better. So if you're ready for a change, if you're dealing with anxiety, whatever you're dealing with, reach out, go to ebhypno.com, book a free discovery call with me. Let's talk about what's going on, and let's see if I can help. And don't forget to like, follow, comment, and let me know what you thought of this, if you found it interesting at all, or what your takeaways were. So until next time, everybody, be seeing you.